Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to look at 3 signs that showing your organization is currently not very data-driven. I want to mention that data-driven concept is not a right or wrong concept. It's not also a black or white concept. You can be like 60% most of the time data-driven, but the 40% of the time you are making decisions based on other indicators. This is totally fine. So company are in different stages, and being data-driven is probably not a priority of your company right now. But in general, I think this data-driven is widely recognized as the absolutely right path to go for every company. So today we're going to look at 3 signs that probably you're also interested to know whether your organization is data-driven or not. So the first sign, which is already very controversial, is that your organization use Excel a lot. Well, let me tell you the reason. So a lot of data scientists or data analysts, they absolutely hate Excel. So what happens with Excel is that people assign this tool with so many rows, right? They put all of the operation inside of one single Excel and make that Excel really, really big. Well, I can give you an example of some of my clients. I'm not naming the client. So I see this is the Excel he sent me. So basically this number represents how many items are inside of the inventory. Okay, it looks fine, right? And then if you click on it, and then you see that this is actually a long calculation. And what exactly happened is that whenever there are inbound or outbound, they add this number, add a positive number or a negative number to this field, and then just like calculate it at the end. This is a history of this SKU's stock changes, and it's like incremental changes. And even more frustrating is that they told me that because there are multiple people working on this Excel, they have to communicate, verbally. So that's saying like, okay, I'm doing something to the changes right now. Please do not touch the Excel in the next 5 minutes. So this is something that actually happened. And then after some time, they quickly realized this is actually not doable because you can make mistakes so easily. And then what they did is that they also add the comments. And then adding comments doesn't make things better, right? So you can add comments and then the comment becomes so long and then you just lost track of everything. Okay, so I give you this example because I think Excel is really bad in certain areas that people doesn't realize. So the first bad thing about Excel is that the absolute position of the column. So what does it mean is that if you have a column that names something under column A, this column needs to be there for the rest of the life, right? If the same name goes to column B, something breaks. So basically that's how the formula in Excel works. And the second is that Excel doesn't handle like big chunk of data. So I think after a certain amount, Excel will be slow, and also like something breaks with this filter and stuff. So really do not try to use Excel for large data. And the third possible bad thing that can happen is that this VBA formula. This VBA formula is country dependent. So if you are in Germany, for example, your formula is completely different than if your system is in USA, for example. So this also could be a problem. And then there's not to mention the following problems like automations and collaborations, which I already like touched a little bit before. In general, I think Excel is okay, but as you hire the first data scientist or data analyst, they will quickly advise you to like move away from Excel. So Excel should be as a placeholder for data. You should not be interacting with it so frequently because basically there are tools that can help you do better than Excel can do. So basically switch to other tools for the more dedicated usage. And the second sign, which is like also controversial, is that it's about your coworkers, okay? So look at your coworker. Can your coworker explain a very complicated concept using numbers or formula? Let me give you a concrete example so that you know what I'm talking about. So let's suppose that you have to calculate the shipping cost. Okay, and the shipping cost is complicated. So basically, your coworker will come to you. Okay, so the shipping cost is consists as this. So there is a fixed cost, and then based on the item that you try to ship, if it was a dangerous product, for example, a battery that can explode, there are like special terms, there are fees that need to be added. At the same time, if it was a normal item, you have to check whether it is a model or an accessory, because accessory take less space than a model. And also this concept of pallets, right? So if you are like in our industry, is that you have to ship a certain amount of item in a pallet. If it doesn't fill the full pallet, there is also like individual pallet cost. This is very confusing, right? If you ever study math, what I said can be rewritten as a math formula, right? So basically there are so first of all, there are 2 cases. So if it was a battery, do something. Okay. If it was not a battery, do something else. And in the case of this is not a battery, there are additional 2 cases. So the first case that it is a model, and the second case is that this is an accessory. And then you can basically just need three numbers, right? The number of batteries to be shipped, the number of model to be shipped, and the number of accessory to be shipped. Right? So give me this three variable as x, y, z. I can give you a formula that calculate the shipping cost as shown in the formula on the screen. You might say this is actually not necessary because like people do this all the time without the formula anyway, and they still can calculate, right? But I think this probably point to something that is super interesting, is that they don't have this idea of quantifying things. So what I realized is that even for somebody who is already in the managing position, sometimes they have confusion, right? So what is our total revenue this quarter? Is it 13 billion or 13 million, right? And how much of that total revenue, how much is coming from the DACH region, from France, from Italy, etc. Like 50% or 20%, right? So this number is not. If you ask anybody this question and they cannot answer that, this basically is showing that they are not caring about the basic statistic, the basic composition of your business, right? This also reflects that they are not actively tracking these key metrics. So as a result, basically is that they just sit there and wish the number to become better next quarter, and probably they put some emergent reports when their supervisor asks them for the data or asks them for some explanation. They are not tracking this number on a steady, certain granularity, like daily or weekly. They have not done the tracking of the numbers, right? Well, the third sign, which is also super controversial, is that you see that in your whole business, in all of the employees you have, there is not a single person that is super interested into the tech news or into the latest, AI trends, data trend, etc. So what I realized is that the concept of the data-driven is evolving really fast these years. What I observe is that if you do not have an internal champion, right? So if there is not a certain person at a certain kind of position that really tries hard to advocate for the data-driven approaches, normally the company has little motivation to change from inside. They probably need to change when some crisis come. Basically, they are lacking the internal motivation to do some self-change. So also it reflects that probably there isn't some person inside of the company that want to do something with data. Right? Because if they want to do something with data, they will reach out to all the social media, and all the YouTube videos to, find the answer. But if there is not a single person in your company that follows tech news closely, that is interested in the world of data science and, and this AI trend, this is probably an indication of your company is currently not very data-driven, because this concept is not at all widely spread in your organizations. And if you do not have an internal champions or advocates or whatever you name it, to start some kind of change, usually this change will not happen, naturally, right? So there must be some motivation. There must be some internal advocate to start the transformations. So I think what the realistic takeaway is that these three signs that I mentioned, most companies have like at least one or two signs, but don't be like super anxious about it. So I firmly believe that seekers are finders. So if you can watch this video up to this point, you want some changes in your organization, right? You want the change. And eventually, if you are committed to it, you will have the change. This is not as hard as you thought. So probably you should like and subscribe my channel so that you can be updated on the latest tech news and AI trends. And so another question, right? Start from the beginning. You might ask is that why the hell should I be data-driven in my own organization? Right? This is a valid question, and I already explained this concept in in the first video of the channel actually. So please watch that video for your the mindset of why people should be data driven in order to be successful in business. And thanks for watching the video up to now. I hope you learned something, and please share with a coworker that in your organization that you think that they should see this video, and we will continue the discussion about business and AI and so on. So we'll see each other next time. Bye bye.